Adi Ribon.
Ribon. This is my name now. I was born under a different name, but in the beginning my name was Boretsky.
Boretsky, yes.
This after my father, who passed away when I was 4 years old. And I mainly was educated by my grandfather and my mother together in Kaunas, Lithuania.
Yes. When have you been born?
Well, this is a complicated question because I was born in 5th December 29, but in my papers here in Dachau, you'll find it 5th December 27, because otherwise I wouldn't survive if I would not be able to play a grown-up. I was acting like a grown-up and not as a child in order to survive, to work, and to be able to live.
I understand. Okay, Mr. Ribon, hello.
Yes.
You had been in the list with the name Eduard Rubin.
Yes.
Rubin. But now your name is Ribon.
Okay.
And
I was born Boretsky.
Boretsky. Okay. Born 1929 in Lithuania.
In Lithuania.
In which?
Kaunas.
In Kaunas, in the metropole Kaunas.
Yes.
And can you shortly tell us something about your childhood? You told us that your father died, and how it had been with the school,
Okay.
all before the Germans
Well,
appeared.
we are coming from a rich family. And we have been in a very good situation, very acquainted with the people around, the prime minister, the president, and so on and so on. We had the biggest chemical bacteriological laboratory in Kaunas. And you know, those tests of blood and this, you need, whether you are poor or rich, you need that. And so we were in contact with all those people up to the highest level. As a result of this, the standard of living was high. And being only a grandchild of the family, because my mother was the only child in her family, so I was the only grandchild. I was pampered with all the best things I could have, because this was the treasure of the family. As a result of this, I had a nanny, if you know what it is, till the age of around 10.
She was also Jewish?
No, she was Lithuanian. And then I had private teachers in my home, because the parents didn't want to send me to the school, special education, whatever. And so when I started at school, to learn in school, this was at the age of 8, 9, something like that. She every day my nanny at the school and picked me up after the school. So I've lost 500 meters. I have to go from the school to back to back. In 1940, the situation has changed because the Russian entered into India as part of the Ribbentrop agreement. And I think I'm getting a little bit harder, but it was not bad at all. I could live. And then they started sending people to Siberia. And the first group was sent one week before the German started in 1941. We were on the second list. We didn't know only after the war. We have realized that if we would have stayed in Lithuania for another week, we would have been sent to Siberia, to Siberia. But in the meantime, the war started. And you know, we were not prepared. We were in a little building, it's going like that. And here's suddenly 4 o'clock in the morning, bombing. And people have to decide in one minute whether they go to run away to Russia, which was not far from us, or to stay, whatever will happen, and you so live this way. Our family decided to stay, hoping that we will be able to survive, make some living good or bad, still in our home, which we have 9 rooms, with all the luxury you had at that time.
One question. Your family, they speak Lithuanian or German or Polish or Russian? Which language?
I was educated at home in Russian, because family members coming before the revolution, they were in Odessa in Russia, and they escaped the revolution and went to Lithuania, where my grandfather opened a laboratory, and the business was good. We had a chemical factory and so on. So I spoke Russian at home. Being very involved with the Lithuanians there, the second language was Lithuanian. And I spoke Lithuanian with all the accents used in Lithuanian, not to be some different, because those were my main the youngest children who years was really important for me to get involved with the Lithuanians. We lived in the center of Kaunas, so all the neighbors were Lithuanians and so on. And when I went to school, I went to a strict Lithuanian school. And when friends are asking which school have you been, I say Lithuanian schools. Not you went to Lithuanian schools like this. I say yes, I was there. And then suddenly all this is changing. Yes. Another question?
No.
Now, the war started. Whoever escaped, we were there, and we were relying on the being suffered with the Lithuanians. Their support still helped us, even with the German regime. The situation was totally different. The third day of the war, just before the Germans came to Kaunas, to our house entered 2 military dressed Lithuanian. There was no Lithuanian army, but they were military dressed as it was before. They were looking for people to murder. My stepfather, which is Rubin, this is the reason I changed the name to Rubin. He has a card that he is in the emergency of the government, so he shouldn't be touched by Russians, not by Germans, because it's an emergency help. My mother and father couldn't go to work, and so they went to my room. I was 11 and a half. And they pointed fingers saying, this is already over. And my was begging, leaving child, 11 and a half. Not even was struggling, told me to get rest. Yeah, like, I took initiative and took them aside. Said to him, what do you want? Money, gold, whatever. I'll give you. Just leave it, child. So this man says, what I need is a pen. Couldn't believe what he's asking is a little pen. So he took me around the room, gave me a pen, and he says, right, and says, okay, cut out, told the other guy, let's go, I see his papers, child. At this day, they collect over 1,000 people between the streets from the forces that have been shot during escape to Russia. Nobody have burned this 1,000 people came back. All of them were killed and executed. And in Kaunas. So
this was the second day after the German camp.
So this is the price of my life. My mother decided that I had been hiding in jail, and they should hide everywhere. So they hide and I'm with a friend of mine. We're lying there, Rubin sit, and stand up. We're lying here. In the morning, everyone so for a whole day. And in the evening, we go to toilets. We have all the dirt. And the next day again, like 3 weeks before we had before we entered the ghetto.
The German
said you should walk on the side, you should walk. They were horse riding and things like that. You have to have yellow star and all the laws you have to give your radios and things like that. But then we had to go to the ghetto because the 15th of August exactly the ghetto was closed. And then we had nine-room apartment. We were 9 people in one room. This was our qualities, but we couldn't get for our life in the ghetto. The grown up went work. I as a child remained in the ghetto. I've seen what was going on. The beginning was you're living this all time. Okay, it was bad, we are still alive.
Yes, but you had tuberculosis first.
I had no work. And so that is all the new laws. Number one, they had took away all the silver, gold, they were searching all the apartments from one house to another, and they're running strange way, and they're coming in places like that. So I've seen just all that I've lived with this. But one day there was an announcement that they need 500 volunteers, good educated, and volunteers, good educated, good job. So all the lawyers and people living in the free professions have gathered actually over five people there this morning, and the Germans took them away. Executed. After that, we have known that they have been executed in the same way. Well, this was life. You didn't go too close to the Dachau, to the yes, because there were Lithuanians and Ukrainians guarding, and when he didn't like you, he could shoot you immediately as you are going there. And then the next thing was what we are called the little ghetto. There was a ghetto, and a big ghetto here, and here was a little ghetto because there was not enough room in the big ghetto. There was a bridge, a wooden bridge, that you can walk. And it was very simple. One day they closed the bridge, just standing here. Nobody goes there. And they made a selection. Whoever was working and had a shine approval was allowed to go into the ghetto. All the others were staying in the little ghetto. They put them all, went up the mountain, and we knew when they are going up the mountains, it's the fort number 9, which is the execution place. Not enough that, they have burned the hospital with the personnel and with the sick people inside. And those were facts that we have to live and by this. And my life went on. So finally they cut off the little ghetto and made the ghetto smaller.
Did new people come inside from
No, there wasn't a small numbers. They have discovered here and here people that in most cases married with Gentiles, so they wanted to say that they are not Jewish and so on. They discovered them into the ghetto. People were working quite far from ghetto, walking, going this way, marching. And since we had our clothing, this was not confiscated, the personal clothing. So we made some business with the people outside, with the Lithuanian, for bread and for butter, for cheese or whatever. And so the standard of life depends on what category of personal belonging you had, so you can make business with that. And then October this year was what we call the big selection, the big action. 28th of October, and this they will remember, there was call to get to a huge place. We were about 20,000 people there, standing, families, and we had to go through one man, an officer, German officer, was standing on a platform like a small one, left, right, left, right. If you are young and you can work, so this is a good side. If you have a family with too many members old or too many members young children, to the bad side. And here we are marching, the four of us, my mother, my father, my father, my mother, me, and my grandmother. And they sent us to the good side.
All together?
All together, because they didn't cut families as far as we knew. And suddenly I feel on my hand, you know, with his stick, halt. They're dividing us. They are dividing, sending mother and father to the good side, and me and the grandmother to the bad side, which was not known before that. And like a miracle. This officer had a call, somebody asked him something, he turned away his head, and my mother.
Put you with her, and you had been on the good side,
And
together with your grandmother.
Before I realized what was going on, all the four of us were in the good side. And another family was standing in front of him already. So he didn't remember, he didn't pay attention. One way or another, we were saved. At this day, about 50% of the ghetto was selected to the bedside, 10,000 people. And when we say to the bedside, so we have seen them in the evening walking up the hill towards the 9th ward, which is the execution place. And we heard the machine guns for days and days. And again, the human nature gives you the hope. Okay, I survived. Now it will be all right. This the Germans told us always. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. It will never happen again. And we wanted to believe. So it was going on here. Less people. We made a smaller ghetto again, cut from here and from there. And the life went on. I'm giving it in short because it's 3 years, but I'm giving only the highlights, the most painful memories of the ghetto. So then we came to the most painful action, I would say, is called the children action. One day in the morning, after the people, the adults went to work outside the ghetto, my mother worked in the laboratory of the hospital, of the hospital in the ghetto. And so she has to stay within the ghetto and to do her job. There were cars were coming in at the ghetto and saying, look, you have to stay at home, nobody's leaving, whoever gets out will be shoot, and I can give you all this in German because it went into the head, you know. And so I was with my grandmother in our room, and I actually left my grandmother there, and I ran between the houses to the hospital where my mother worked. And within 5 minutes, all the movement is stopped. Nobody goes out. No, nothing is moving. And the Germans have put different central places where they brought a truck, and they were putting the children, the old people on them. I was standing with my mother
At the hospital.
at the hospital, the window, and we're looking. We have seen all this, they've thrown the children into the truck. They have pushed with force, with the rifles, so more people can get into one truck. And then I've seen my grandfather. They brought her with the chair because she couldn't go, and they pushed her onto the truck. And of course, this was the last time I've seen her. I turned away my mother, so not to see that what's happening to her. And this was the most cruel day in the ghetto, because you lost all the future. And from this moment, we felt that we are no more people. We are like slaves. From this moment on, we felt that we cannot believe the Germans anymore, because every time they are saying this will never happen, and it's happening again and again. So all the children that were hidden in various places at home, because the children knew that when something is coming, they have to go under the bed or things like that, immediately. Yeah. So whoever survived this action had to find some kind of a solution how to go on living, because as a youngster, you cannot walk in the street. Yes. As a child, you cannot be there. So they, our family, there was several possibilities to get out from the ghetto, to run away, to going through the town,
yeah,
into the woods to join the partisans, or to give the children to Gentile people in the villages, which is far away from what is happening around us, or to make some kind of place to be hidden under earth, like a bunker. Yeah. But of course it was built very primitive. And for me, number one, this was a change, that since this day I was playing to be adult. I took a long coat with a hat that covered my face, going to work every day outside the ghetto, in order to be like the grown-up.
Yeah, and from this day on, you said you had been born in 1927.
And from this day I changed the name, yeah, because I wanted to, my mother wanted me to be a part of a family, because if you are one man in a family, so they can take you away, send you away, and things like that. So maybe, at least maybe, this will help us. Now, I was working outside in a garage, a German military garage. Work was not too hard, but I was working, occupied, and walking, marching to this and from this, like a couple of hours every day. At night, we were building this escape bunker, taking out the sand from under the house, spreading around the whole ghetto, going with the sack, with a small opening, and you go, and then the sand is spread around, so you are not able to see where it's coming from. Because otherwise they'll see what's going on, that you are building something. And here we were ready, in case of emergency, to go under the building and to hide there if it's some kind of a crisis. If we waited actually from the Russians are going to come back, because this was after the Stalingrad, and the whole situation has changed.
Yes, and you knew all these things.
From here and there, we didn't have information or a radio, whatever. But we were spoke with people and heard this and that. So we were working every day, as I said, and but at nights we were building this bunker under house, which was supposed to be for like 15, 16 people, relatives, friends. We knew exactly who is going to be admitted to this group. And then we suddenly started to hear the Russian guns. And in addition to that, we felt that the Germans are in a certain panic. They were burning the corpse that they killed in the 9th Fort. They are taking them out and burning them, and the whole ghetto is smelling with burned flesh. We knew what it is, and then this has made it even more terrible. But again, life goes on. And then we came to the last days of the ghetto, that many people have found these or other solutions for them, for the children. And when the order was to get to get prepared for the evacuation, we went into this room under the house. Actually, we were there 24 people.
Yeah, but your happiness found by the Nazis?
It comes now. And we were 24 people in this little room, which was built for 15, 16 people, because we had neighbors. They said, look, if you don't give us the possibility to enter, we'll tell the Germans. So what can you do? The younger people like me were standing, the older people were sitting, as much as possible close to the entrance of the air in order to breathe. Most of it, people were half naked because the heat was terrible. At night we were getting out sitting in the darkness outside, hearing the guns, and hoping here tomorrow, day after tomorrow, the Russians are coming and here we'll be saved. And so on the fifth day, still at night, suddenly we hear dogs, halt, halt. They caught us. We tried to get into this bunker again. We couldn't anymore. They put us against the wall, and the feeling was these are the last minutes of our lives. But things are something getting different to what you think. So we have been collected all the people that have been found underground, and there have been maybe 1,000 people. So it was natural that the Germans have realized that there are a lot of people missing. It must be somewhere. So as I told you, people went to the partisans, people sent the children to the Gentiles or the cloisters even, but despite the fact there was many people missing. So we were lucky enough. The group that has caught us gave us the possibility to get down to the bunker to take our clothes. And we were marching to a place that has been a central place for all the people that have been found under the houses. Can you stop?
Yeah. There you have been collected together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Could you stop now?
Yes, okay. Yes, please.
Okay, this was the end of the ghetto period. They put us together, all the people that were still found in the ghetto, and they marched us through the town to the railroad station. And on the way, the people wanted to escape, to run into different houses. And the Lithuanian caught them and brought them back to the Germans, to the soldiers. And this is my feeling towards them.
This was about June 1944?
This was
right?
about like 20th June, yeah. And so we were put on the cattle wagons with two, water and toilet, two Eimer, no?
Yeah, yeah.
And we were under a very serious guard for over the wagon. They were lying German soldiers.
Oh, yes.
If somebody could escape, could open it and jumped, so they killed him.
The wagon had been open.
No, closed.
Had been closed.
Closed. Small windows, like this maybe. That in certain cases I know that they have succeeded to open it and to jump out, mainly at night. It was a very big risk, of course, but since there was snow in certain places, so you were balanced by the snow when you are jumping from through this little window. Anyhow, 4 days in those cattle cars, wagons, and Then we were brought to the place which is known as KZ Stutthof. Now, before going into the KZ, the order was short and very tragic. Men to the left side, women to the right side, separation. So it's no more family. It's now individuals.
Yeah. Until then, you had been together with your
father.
father.
Together, we lived as
your
a family.
Mother.
Yes. My grandmother went away or had been sent away. But the three of us, and here I am separated from my mother. And the most tragic thing was to decide in this moment, where are we going to meet after the war? In Germany, in Lithuania, somewhere. You have to tell your partner which will be the way of meeting, because otherwise people got lost after the war. And the cries were terrible. Anyhow, we were separated. Women went the first into the Entlausung, what they called. And we were standing all night outside, and the SS people were going through the group of men that were waiting there, trying to find what we call youngsters, that they want to play the role of a grown-up, but they are still more or less children, taking them out, sending them away, and they went to Auschwitz, this group. So we were standing there all night. About 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we went into the Entlausung. Till then we had our civilian clothes, so more or less like ordinary people. And then you have to put your boots here and your dress here, and the only thing they gave you to take with you was the girdle. So we were passing the inspection, holding this like this, going through the inspection, the check, and then they have shaved all the hair that you had, and the hair on your head, and the arms down, from up to the legs. Every little hair you had was shaved.
And this was very painful.
It was painful because they made it with you know, with not with razor knives, but with the how do you call it? It's like a knife.
Normal knives.
No. It's like the sharp. Their friseur had sowas. So in any case, it was painful. And after you finish all this, they put you into a big barrel of Lysol, you know, disinfection. And the hair were, they shaved here, and the blood was running because they made a lot of wounds. And here they put you into this terrible cleaning like Lizol, if you know what it is.
Okay, yes. Something to disinfect.
Yes.
I understand.
And you get out from the other side, you take any shoes you want, and they beat you. You have to make it fast. They give you clean, new
Clothing.
clothing, with
Prisoner clothing.
prisoner clothing.
With
And
stripes.
here you are a new man. They brought us into the KZ Stutthof. They let us in one of the barracks. We slept for a day or two. I had nothing to do there. After 4 days, suddenly they woke us up in the morning, early in the morning. Get up, out, so on and so on. And I was too slow, probably, moving. So I was in the last row. And here the officer is coming. They give us an order to turn around, and I'm in the first row. The advantage of being in a later row, you can hear what the answers are, and you can make a decision what to say, which can save you. The first row, nobody spoke before you, so you don't know what is good and what's bad. And so this German officer is coming and say, "Wie alt bist du, Junge?" So what shall I say? 14? No chance. I say 18, he'll beat me up. And suddenly I hear myself saying, 18. And he pushed me, to the good side.
Without any more question. Without any question.
No.
If it's right.
So he gave me to understand he doesn't believe me. But still he's giving me a chance to survive. And here we are getting together, put us in the rows in order to march out from Stutthof. And then a Polish prisoner is coming to me with a scarf, a headscarf for a woman headscarf with 4 portions of bread inside. And this was the last present. I got from my mother. She didn't eat for 4 days. Just to give me a better chance to survive. And of course, this is the last thing I remember because my mother didn't survive. I'm sorry. Okay, back in the cattle car wagons, another 3 or 4 days, we are coming to Kaufering.
All the days you don't know where the journey will go.
No.
No information.
No, nothing. They didn't open even the doors. We were all the time closed. And we know we are going somewhere. We have um, uh, no understanding. We are waiting a lot on the way because there's a preference to the military movement, and we are not so. Don't have a preference to move. So we are waiting aside in time of moving because they are sending us here to the south of Germany.
Germany, yes. Altogether, these Jews from Kaunas.
Altogether, Jews from Kaunas, different than the first group. The first group have been sent directly to Kaufering, without going to Stutthof. And the selection between women, between children and grown up has been done here in Kaufering. And as a result of this, they had like 130 children, youngsters, that have been brought to Kaufering and were not old enough to be able to work, but still they were counted as a part of the people that should give some kind of a production. So in any case, we were already a clean transport, grown up, and actually I was coming to the Lager 2 here in Kaufering, in which I was a youngster, the youngsters. When we came to build, the houses were not built yet. There was a contractor that was putting together houses that is made from carton, from paper, pressed paper, you know.
Yeah.
It was a pressed paper.
I understand carton.
Curtains, yes. And there were like tents built.
Yeah.
Small.
Yes.
We were there 8 people or 10 people in one, I don't remember exactly. And this was our house.
And the fence around, electric fence?
The electric fence around the whole, how many tents there were. And of course, and there was separated from the Wirtschaft part, and separated from the SS part, their quarters. So this was the separated cassette of the people that were working. But still then we were sitting like 4 days in a Kiesgrube, in a place like this, because there was no solution for us. We couldn't get anywhere and we couldn't get to work. After we got our places, we started working. Going to work every day, the shoes, oh, I have forgotten to say, before we left, you have enough for you? Before we left Stutthof, they took away the good clothes they gave us. And they gave us some old, torn up clothing, so they don't give away people with a good clothing. The good clothing, they want to leave it there.
So this remained in Stutthof?
In Stutthof.
You came with the prisoner clothes from Stutthof to
We came,
Kaufering?
yes, no, we came to Kaufering with old clothes.
With old clothes.
A part of them is prisoners' clothes, a part of them was civilian clothes, with something written on the back. Very different kinds, but nothing so special.
And in Kaufering you got no new clothes?
No.
No, you stayed with these old clothes all the time.
They took us as we are. And the ration, the food ration in the beginning was not terrible. There was like 300-gram bread, soup, which was very clear, like water. You could drink it. There never was a potato inside. Of course, no beef or something like that. And coffee in the morning. And this was Ersatzkaffee, something like that. It's like black water. This was all the food we are getting here. The work was very hard for most of the people. The marching, I don't know, I have been yesterday there, it seems to be very close. For us to go in wooden shoes, we got wooden shoes then. It was terrible.
When does the work start in the morning?
They woke us up around 5 o'clock, I would say. My memory in this is not good. And then we had to get a coffee, and immediately after that the appel. And the appel could take hours, because if they don't get the number they should get, is they count again and again and again and again. And the appel plus was very big, and it was mud. You were standing in mud, and you were walking in mud all the time. The work in the beginning was to make all the constructions for the big bunker in Kaufring.
Yeah.
So to make all the metal joining. You know, before they put the beton, they have to make some.
Verschalung is in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the beginning, I worked with somebody. This was a Brenner, not a soldier, but a Schweizer, and he was very good. But if I didn't hold the way properly, he warmed up the metal close to my hands.
So you get hurt,
of course.
Often.
So I learned it very quickly what I have to do, and it was very hard for the people. People, because of the sickness, because of the fact that you have to stand for hours and hours on the Pelplatz, they're getting sick, and there's no medication that could cure you. So people were dying in the beginning, less, and the more we were advanced, we lost our reserves we had, and we got sick, and so on and so on. So the older people had a shorter life. Maybe people like me, who could work, we tried to do. So,
Mr. Ribon,
yes,
perhaps we stop, because Have you been together with your father in this time?
Yes, I was together with my father, living but not working together. He was working in a different place, and I was working at that time at Holzmann. There were two groups here. One of the hangars was built by Holzmann, and the other one was built by Mohl.
Well, yes.
Mole was more advanced, more close to the finishing, and Holzmann was just in the beginning. So yes, in the beginning I worked with a metal Schweißer, and it was the winter was coming and the rains came, and this was terrible. And then one day, staying on the Pelplatz, I just collapsed. And they took me into the Krankenroom, and they checked me. I had Lungen syndrome. And then in Concert, where they have no medication, it was like a death sentence. We had a doctor, a friend. He said, "Look, I can help you out, maybe, give you another portion of soup or something like that, but you have to strengthen yourself. You have to find any way to have more bread or things like that." And then my father has discovered that in his girdle that he went, he stood up. He pushed in, it was, not a girdle they make nowadays, but it's from thin leather.
Yes, put together.
Put together, yes. As he pushed all the way, a diamond.
Diamonds.
And for this one diamond, he got 2 loaves of bread. And so, along the 8 coming days, I had an addition of bread in order to strengthen me, in order to give me some kind of possibility to get out from this illness and to go back to work. And it helped. And it brought me back to be able to work, and now I started to work in Mol. Now the work at Mol was very simple. They were bringing wagons with how do you call it, cement.
Yes. To
Cement.
make the beton.
To make
Yes.
the beton. And if you have seen the buildings that there, it's like this.
Yeah.
So they were. You have to go up to the highest point with a sack of cement to throw it in the mission machine. And it opens the sack, and then to run back to take another one, another turn, all the day.
But the sacks are very heavy.
50 kilos. You want to live? You have to work. And so this was my daily work. Of course, with a menu of food like this, and with work like this, you couldn't survive too long, especially when the winter came. It was a terrible winter. The temperatures went down up to 25, 30 degrees minus. And the clothing were very thin,
You didn't get any winter
Nothing,
clothes?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. And from time to time they gave us the possibility to make a fire, to stand around the fire, but other than that we were working. And again, I act like a grown up, although I was at that time 14, 15. We were losing weight, we were hungry. The rations, they were cut down up to 150 grams a day. And the people started to get sick. And the last state of illness was what they call, excuse me for the expression, Chesarai. You were walking, you didn't feel what you are doing. You were shaking like this. And this is the reason they called a guy like this a Muslim. So these were the last days when you saw somebody doing like that. You understand that he has a couple of days to live and not more than that. And people were dying. People were dying going to work. People that are dying in the mall. People were falling into the beton. People were dying going back from work.